noticed she didn't like to drive, but when we started getting the Dodges, she started driving the vans.
And how about well, anyway, had a rough day. Okay. Oh, nice little guitar. Hello everybody, welcome to Tom's Guitar Show. I'm Tom. They call me Guitar Tom because I'm often seen with a guitar. They used to call me on the phone back when we had a call-in show, and they'd ask me questions. They'd say things like, "Hey man, what's your show about?" And I'd say, "Well, it's about an hour. About guitar players, guitar playing, all things guitaristic." So you can't really call us anymore because we don't do the call-in show anymore, but
you can tweet us.
you could tweet us, yeah. Or you could stop me on the street or at the Hy-Vee or someplace and ask me questions about the care and feeding of your guitar, what kind of guitar is right for you, how to play the guitar, related topics like the guitarron, the guitarra, sitars, chitoles, lutes, ouds, vihuelas, banjos, balalaikas, bazookas, bajos, sextos, bandurias, bandolims, and mandolins, and mandoras, and mandolas, and pipe organs and piccolos, and accordions and ocarinas, and trombones and trombomarinas, and harmoniums, harpsichords, and harmonicas. Got one for us there?
Irish harps, pixie harps, and Jews harps.
There we go. You could have those. We could talk about those too. Right? Timpanis and timbales.
Alpenhorns, bagpipes, and concertinas.
That's right. And yeah, the dobros and didgeridoos one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
dulcimers, dobros, and didgeridoos.
Dulcimers, dobros, didgeridoos. Okay. All right. It's basically a guitar show, but we entertain other topics. We could talk about politics, world events, your own personality problems if you want, but then keep it clean. This is a family program, so see, look, you're on there.
Yeah, there I am.
Yeah. You're not supposed to look at the monitor.
Cool.
I do all the time, but don't do as I do. Just do as I say. Anyway, so
we should put the monitor over above the camera so you're looking right at the audience when you look at it.
Yeah, they think we're looking at them. Yeah. We can't see you at home. All right, I'm going to yawn first. Sorry.
So our executive director has arrived.
Yeah. All right, we're there.
See, that's why we need the volunteers. Then I go from being director to the executive director.
That's right. That's why I have volunteer working on the show. Okay. Anyway, so on today's show, I want to do this whole thing about a bunch of electric guitars. I've been working through this new thing. You know, it's my old thing, but it's my new version of an old thing. But today, as I said, I had a kind of rough day. We had juries up at Coe College, and for those of you who haven't been hanging on my every word for the last 24 years in this show, I have a job I'm an adjunct, which is temp in the academic world at a couple of colleges. One is co-college in Cedar Rapids. And anyway, so we had juries, and what they do, if you take music lessons in college, your final exam, one of the things you have to do to get your grade, is to get up in front of your, the faculty members and play something, right? And so I only had a couple of students up there this year. I had a full roster last year, but I've only had a couple. So mine was just a couple folk guitar players, but I had to sit through all the violins and the cellos and the violas. No harp players this year. So reminds me of a joke. It's not that funny necessarily unless you know something about tuning things. How long does a harp stay in tune? About 20 minutes until somebody opens the door. It's a lot of strings to tune. Anyway, didn't see the harp teacher and his harp students this semester. Anyway, so not all the violinists are that good, and they don't have any frets in those things. I was joking around, with other faculty members who were a cellist, a violinist, and a violist, and a string bass player, but he wasn't there yet. And I was thinking about, because the old days, you see, the violin, the bow instruments, like the viol da gamba, the viol da braca, and things, and other kinds of violin, like things, they had frets. But, in the violin, there are no frets, so it's like, you're not always, it's pretty easy to play in tune on the guitar once you get the thing in tune, which isn't always that easy, but once you get the thing in tune, you can play, in tune, anyway. So that's what I've been doing all day, was sitting in judgment all afternoon of, college kids playing, and not all of them are playing in tune. And then I had to think of things to say, what I'm saying? I think that sounds pretty good, keep practicing. I don't know what to say. I started on violin when I was a little kid, and I have actually substitute taught violin and violin lessons. Took cello for a while. I've got a cello at home. I've played a viola. I never took viola lessons. I spent a lot of time with the string bass. I grew up playing string bass, so I took lessons, and I played in the orchestra, in the jazz band. I teach string bass now. I know my way around, so I had a couple of bass students. So it was kind of interesting, but anyway, so the thing was that we got done at about 4:40, and then I had to commute back from Cedar Rapids, so I didn't know when I was going to get here. So all I did was I took the guitar and the banjo off the wall in my office at Co, because I'm done for the summer, turned in my grades, and I'm free to go until August when we start up again. Unless I get fired, in which case I don't have to go. Yeah. So if I'm not fired, and it doesn't look like I've done anything wrong, so I'm not expecting to be fired. So if I don't get fired, then I've got a job, in the fall. If I do get fired, I don't have to commute to Cedar Rapids, So either way, I win, right? Or also either way, I lose, So it's like, is that A sharp or B flat? Depends on how you look at it. Is the glass half full or half empty? Or when I was driving back from Omaha in the middle of the night from a gig, I always wondered, is my gas tank half full or half empty? Never mind. Okay. Anyway, so this guitar is the one I've been keeping in my office. This is a Magritte. Marguerite. I don't know. Guitar made in Spain. It's pretty old. I don't know anything about it. I should probably try to Google, see if I can find out anything about it. It's it's a Spanish classical guitar, a pretty good student one. Looks like the neck is separating a little bit up here. I got it real cheap. Most people wouldn't know what to do with a thing like this, but for me it's just great. This is an old, it's darkened with age. This is an old Spanish student classical guitar. It actually sounds pretty decent. I like Spanish classical guitars. I have a few. I have a modest collection. was a charade by Henry Mancini. It was in a movie once. Play this thing very well. I don't know, this guitar doesn't, for some reason I don't play this one easily. I don't know if there's something different about it. I have more than one guitar, you know. I have a few. One thing about Spanish guitars, usually, is they don't have the dots on the side of the neck so you can tell what position you're in. Usually guitars come with little white dots or something on the side of the fingerboard. And so I stuck on some stars, you know, from the, you know, you get those stars, you usually get a gold star. And these are the silver ones because, you know, the kids don't want the silver one. But I heard about a guy that I knew another guy I know who runs a guitar shop in Des Moines, Paul Wilson. And so somebody I knew took lessons from him back in the day. He said he used googly eyes. So last time I was at the dollar store, I went to the arts and crafts, and you could get like 100 googly eyes for $1, you know, and the little ones and the bigger ones. I thought, you know, maybe when I get this home,
Stick them on a guitar.
yeah, stick them on instead of these stars, you know, because these just come right off anyway. So googly eyes, because it's nice to have a sense of humor when you're playing, you know. That whiteout stuff that you don't really need to use anymore, you know, that works really well too. You want something that's not permanent, you know. But anyway, so yeah, I thought googly eyes would be nice. This thing is clean. So I'm going to play my banjo. Well, I probably won't play it. I'll probably spend most of my time tuning it. But I'll play my banjo in a little while. But the thing about this, speaking of classical guitar and everything, I'm holding out my little plastic footrest from my office there at Co. and everything, and my instruments off the wall. I didn't bring the ukulele home. I left it there, you know, so people can dream about it. But anyway, so I have, speaking of classical guitar, on Monday, or Sunday actually, Classical Guitar Live, I always try to listen to that show. It's a program out of Texas, Austin, I guess, on classical guitar. The host, Tony Daner, and there's my footrest. It's plastic. Anyway, so this week though they had it's on the radio. So I actually have a little AM/FM radio from Radio Shack that works pretty well with and I put the headphones on, you know, and then I went out for a long walk. So I decided to listen to it while I walked with the headphones on, so I look like a, you know, not the earbuds but the real headphones. And I got to it just a little bit late, and they were playing variations on the theme of the Guardian de Vacas, or whatever, the Guardian of the Cows by Navarrez, you know, or Navarrez. I don't even, I can't. I've seen this written. I've never really tried to pronounce it. Renaissance, you know, I guess, or maybe early Baroque. Oldie, played on the lute. Somebody was playing it on some lutenist was playing on the lute. Now I like Renaissance and early Baroque music, all right, and I used to work on it some. I used to take lute lessons for a while. I had a lute at home for a while, and I had the vihuela, which is more like a guitar from the same era. You know, we're talking the 1600s, 15 to 1600s. And I used to do that stuff, right? Try to play this stuff. But I realized, you know, it just seemed like a museum thing. I wasn't interested in that music anymore. And so later in the show, I was almost saying, I'm getting tired. I'm getting bored of this variations, because theme and variations gets kind of boring after a while sometimes if you've been through a lot of it. And I've been through a lot of theme and variations in my career. So, but later on, they had people who had transcribed popular music, like stuff from the 60s and 70s and so forth, for classical guitar, which is like what I'm doing, you know, all the time, because I'm on the weekends I play at the Tuscan Moon down there in Kelowna, and I might actually pick up Thursday, so it'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Man, I'm just, you know, I'm playing my little gig in the restaurant thing, and as soon as the weather cooperates, I'll be outdoors so I can be a little bit louder or whatever. But I've been playing a nylon string guitar all winter, most of it anyway, and you know, so I'm doing basically like classical guitar versions of, like that last song came from a movie, 1960s, it was Henry Mancini. But I've been doing, you know, Beatles songs, Rolling Stones, you know, Doobie Brothers, the band, you know, CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival, you know, and then all kinds of, I mean, other stuff like pop, like Neil Young, you know. I've been just adding more and more of these kinds of songs because the baby boomers, the people who are you know, in their 60s and 70s, who are having you know, a nice dinner, and they can afford the you know, they get something nice from the wine cellar, all those stuff. Those people who drove the Escalade there, the white tablecloth restaurant where I'm playing at, they grew up with that kind of music, the stuff that Frank Sinatra used to sing. I mean, those people are like, you know, most of them are gone. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what songs would you, when you were in high school, what was on the radio?
Oh, Elvis, Fabian.
Yeah, Elvis.
Bobby Rydell, Bobby Vinton.
Yeah, so.
Dare I say it, Pat Boone.
Pat Boone.
Little Richard.
There you
Fats
go.
Domino. Ricky Nelson.
Of course. Or how about I could go on for hours. I'm I find myself working on new songs. So anyway, they were interviewing these people who who arrange and perform, popular songs, from the 60s and the 70s and even beyond. The Foo Fighters, I mean, there's a Foo Fighters song, but they were doing it on classical guitar. And so here's my thing about what classical guitar is. Obviously, I played a bunch of Renaissance music on the classical guitar. Baroque music, there's Bach. The six-string guitar like this, well, the guitar like this pretty much didn't come around until the 1860s. But the six-string guitar and this tuning and everything didn't come around until about 1800, give or take. So when Bach died in 1750, they didn't have a guitar in his day. They had a guitarra. They had something, but it was different. It was 5 double strings, kind of a strummy ukulele they played in Southern Europe. Not the sort of thing a guy like that would get involved with. He would lute, of course, Baroque lute. He would write that. That's more of a gentleman's thing. The guitar was kind of a raucous thing. In the southern, like Spain and parts of Italy, they played guitarras and things. They played less guitarras. But the guitar as we know it, didn't exist till the 1800s, give or take, And then the larger one, the Torres style, came about in the 1860s. So it's a fairly recent development. And of course, electric guitars didn't come around until the 1930s or so, and and the solid body not until the 1950s. Some would say 1948, but we can argue about that later if you want. But so basically things are transcribed for the guitar. To me, classical guitar is not. It's like the instruments and nylon strings, and it's an approach. It's an approach to the instrument itself. It's not like a specific kind of repertoire that you call classical guitar. It's how you approach the instrument. You write the notes out on paper. You don't do chords and things. I mean, of course, you're playing chords all the time, but there's not like E minor or E7 flat 9 or E minor 9, or something like that, or E minor 7 or something like that. You're actually just playing the notes that are on the page. So like that's D minor. That's the beginning of a Bach prelude, written for violin, transcribed for guitar. There are very specific pieces written for guitar by guitarists, and there's a lot of stuff transcribed, and there's a lot of stuff that's been converted over, from something transcribed from some other instrument or whatever. So the idea of taking popular songs and playing them on classical guitar, and that approach to me is what classical guitar fits under the category. So I've been thinking about this a lot because and I'll tell you, I'm not maybe confessing anything too drastic, but in 1997, which would be 21 years ago, my nightmare is 21 years old. I spent years getting ready and booking, like 3 years, of all the things. I booked 3 concerts. This is going to be my thing. I was going to play concerts in auditoriums, and classical and some other things, fingerstyle guitar concerts. I played 3 concerts in that month of November 1997, and at all 3 of them, people fell asleep. So you do like the end of the piece, big like like that, and then you just snoring coming out from the audience, Okay, so in Sheraton, Iowa, they have a performing arts center. And that used to be the corporate headquarters of Hy-Vee, and I think Hy-Vee built a nice little auditorium for them there, and it's about half full, and a lot of people were old pensioners, and you can see, well, okay, fall asleep, sure. I'm getting older. I'm on the verge of falling asleep right now, but Grinnell College and the University of Iowa, they fell asleep on me, so I developed a complex, and so that's why I've got all these like crazy looking electric guitars and all this stuff. But I'm thinking, okay, so to stay relevant, I love the classical guitar stuff, but a lot of people just, don't get it. So I said, okay. My other thing is overall guitar, which is my what we're calling it around my house. So that's why if you go on the All Things Guitar Tom website, you'll see pictures of me wearing bib overalls with wingtip shoes, maybe a nice shirt and a fedora hat. I'm wearing the pinstripe bib overalls, because overall guitar is if you know technique and and how to like transpose and transcribe music as a classical guitarist would know, but know the same theory and improvisational skills that a jazz guitar player would know, and then you can do whatever you want, and that's what I call overall guitar. And I tend to want to play overalls when I do it, but anyway, so anyway, I thought that was cool, and it was called the Classical Guitar Live. Usually takes a week or so before the last show gets up on a podcast, but it's an interesting listen. I might try to dial it up. It takes a while for them to get around to loading it up as a podcast. I might want to hear that show again. It was on radio, but anyway. So anyway, that's my thing. I like to I like classical guitar. That puts people to sleep. Maybe they need that kind of rest. You too.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, boy.
Better quit playing the classics.
Yeah. Well. Siesta time. Actually, I might have played that last week or something. I don't know. I've been playing that a lot. So,
Or pull out the banjo and do some of those sing-along songs.
there you go. Why they call it a banjo? That's what it sounds like. Yeah. Okay. Oh boy. Through the grapevine. Anyway, pretty nice guitar. I don't play this thing very well for some reason. I don't know what my problem is. I just don't. It's like I keep missing on this one. Like other guitars, I just hardly have to pay attention. They just sort of like play themselves. But this one, for some reason, I don't know. Okay, so I tuned this thing about 4 times. It's close. I really wanted this thing when it came up, because this is a parlor-sized banjo. It's small. I don't know whether I should figure out a way to string it so it's a higher pitch, or just sell it, because I actually don't give very many. I don't get very many banjo students lately, and of course the banjos I normally play are full-sized. I'm a full-size man myself, but this one though is cool, because I mean a banjo is kind of big, you know, and so somebody who's like really small, like somebody who's like just shorter, like a child or a small adult, it's perfect. And I know people who do well with that, but lately nobody's been interested in it. I had this hanging on my wall in my office up at Co all year, and this is a season where I start peeling instruments off the wall and bringing them home. So that's what I'm doing here. And this show is just, it's a nice little banjo. It's a good time. It's made in the U.S. The cheapest kind that they make. It's fairly open back, not very loud. It's not a bluegrass banjo per se. But anyway, I don't know. I just have trouble playing because it's so small. I figured if I could figure out how to string it up so it plays in a higher pitch than a usual 5-string banjo, then maybe that would be good, because then it would be, then I wouldn't get confused because it's so small. 5'2" eyes of blue. Somebody out looking for his girlfriend, convinced that she doesn't have any other boyfriends. Oh well, it's an old story. I think that was the #1 song when my dad was born, 1926. Now, right there, I did some illegal moves. You know.
Oh,
See, how many banjo players does it take to screw in a light bulb?
I don't know.
5 of them. 1 just screwed in, and 4 sitting around saying, "That ain't the way Earl Scruggs did it," or "That ain't the way Earl did it." If you don't know who Earl is, you know. Anyway,
Well, you know, it's the first thing you know.
yeah. Well, Jed's a millionaire. Anyway, so what I'm doing in this banjo here is some illegal moves. And I've been thinking about this for a long time because and actually the guy who shares my office up at Co, I was talking to him today, Michael Kimber, he's a composer and a violist. I know some viola jokes, but I won't tell you until after the show's over because there might be children watching. So they're usually pretty bad, you know. But anyway, he's writing something for Viola d'Amore. Somebody wanted to write something for Viola d'Amore. And I know that's usually an open tuning, but there are actually several tunings I don't know much about it. He was researching it, so he had actually stuck little yellow pieces of stickies on the piano keyboard in the office we share. Michael and I inhabit room 217. And I just finished my 5th year working at Coe College. I don't know if it's Marquis or Marquis Hall, but it's the music building behind their Sinclair Auditorium. So we're up there on the squalid windowless end of the hall there, next to a couple of, you know, little practice rooms, number 217. He was putting little stickies on there to show what the notes were on the viola d'amore. And the viola d'amore, of course, is an instrument that doesn't really exist anymore. It was popular for a while, and it has frets on it. It's like a violin type of, or viola type. They think you bow it, you know, but it's a little different, and it's you know, it's kind of been extinct since somewhere in the 19th century. So. Anyway, I don't know if I got into that because I was going to say something important, but I forgot what it was, but it's okay. But anyway, but what I do with instruments is that I was talking to Michael, and that's my story was, I'm nerdy enough, see, he's writing for Viola d'Amore, that I knew exactly what he was talking about, but I didn't know all the tunings. And neither did he was working on that, you see. Because I'm that nerdy. Have you ever heard of the Viola d'Amore before?
No.
See what I mean? And you get around, right? Okay. So anyway, so you know, it's part of the viol family. Anyway, so so what I have done with banjo is I took Scruggs style. I studied the Scruggs. I went through the Scruggs book, and I played stuff, you know, that you know, like. Like Scruggs style, right? I'm not sure I didn't do that good a job there because I have problems with playing this banjo, but I'm making my excuses for not playing Foggy-Mont breakdown perfect. But then I also found myself in this situation where I was going to have to score a play, and I had to do what sounded like a band in 1926, like at a frat party. I think the direction was, you know, the music for this thing, the company of this play, all the incidental music, there's a lot of music in this thing, and I was the composer for it, had to sound like something from the 20s. So I just modeled myself after Bix Beiderbecke and the Wolverines. But it had to be original because the producer, the production company, had to own the music for the play. And I get my paycheck every week, which wasn't actually all that much, but anyway. So I wrote and rewrote this stuff, and I insisted on playing banjo for it because before, like 1926, when they invented microphones, banjos where you couldn't, like, I mean, they didn't have an electric guitar, so the banjo was the only thing that cut through the jazz bands because they have horns and things, trombones and trumpets and stuff. So I it's called ragtime. Now, I'm not doing it right because I'm not using a pick. Usually you use a long teardrop pick. So when I first started doing this stuff, I had a tenor banjo, which has 4 strings, and is tuned like a viola, and a long teardrop pick, and you strum really fast, you know, like. But it was a pretty good sounding banjo, but there was something. The neck was cheap. I was trying to adjust the neck angle with there was a metal rod that goes through the top, and I tightened it a little bit too much. And you know, I mean, it wasn't where I wanted it yet because the action was too high, and I tightened it a little bit too much, and it stripped it. The wood was too soft. It wasn't really my fault. It was just the banjo, you know. And so I couldn't get it fixed. So I had to do a show. So I bought myself a 5-string banjo, a big loud Montana Rose. I still have a bluegrass banjo. So I had to transpose all the chords from the the tenor banjo to the 5-string, which is a bluegrass one. And I looked up their historical precedences. Some people did play 5-string banjos in jazz bands in the 1920s. Most play the 4-string banjos, which is a different tuning system. You play with a pick instead of your fingers. But see, at the same time, I've been through some choral music and South American music. I learned all kinds of strumming techniques from like. So I started thinking, well, instead of tremoloing with a pick really fast, why not just use like a rastiado? And see? I'm using this like flamenco technique and like Venezuelan or Colombian cuatro technique, and just whatever I feel like doing with my acrylic fingernails. And that, I know it's illegal, and it was not, you know, but I'll tell you, I don't care.
But the banjo cops aren't watching.
Yeah, the banjo police haven't been, yeah. So you can't sit around and say, that ain't the way Earl did it. Of course, Earl didn't play ragtime banjo. Because you see, when you strum, like, with a flat, that's ragtime style, and then plectrum banjo. Anyway, so I did that for a while, until the show closed suddenly, tragically, and I was unemployed and homeless in California again. So I moved back to Iowa, and I haven't really, hardly left since. That's not true. I haven't left at all. Yeah, I mean, I've been to Indiana and Illinois and Minnesota. I'm not even sure if I've been to Missouri in all these years. I don't go very far. I go from Cedar Rapids to Kelowna, Coralville in the middle, and then I reside in Iowa City. That's about it. I mean, I guess I have been to Minneapolis a couple times, and I think I've been to Chicago a couple times, and in Indianapolis once for a few days. I've been to Connecticut, that's right, and Colorado. That's true. Well, I haven't seen the ocean for a while. That's for sure. Seen a few months. Okay, I don't get around. I trip in my head, man. I take my musical trip at home. Anyway, so that's my parlor banjo. I think I'll keep it. I don't know. I keep trading things in. I've had a really bad gas attack, you know, guitar acquisition syndrome. So I've acquired 4 instruments recently. Now I've gotten rid of a bunch of other ones, and I'm in this, getting rid of stuff mode. But for some reason, I'm interested in playing jazz on solid body, mostly rock guitars. But ones that give you a powerful, clean sound with lots of overtones, which is what people usually like to plug into like a fuzz pedal or distortion, overdrive their amp. These are really loud guitars too. They're very sensitive pickups. They're really powerful pickups. I've been playing those a lot lately. But I guess I don't want to rock necessarily. A gentleman is someone who knows how to rock but chooses not to. But
I thought that was someone who knows how to play banjo.
That too. There are a lot of things that a gentleman shouldn't do.
Don't do.
That's right. A lot of things a gentleman shouldn't do. trying to play more like a gentleman. I fool people about what I'm really like. Taking lessons from me for a while. He wants a reward at the end of his lesson every week. He's an old grown-up guy. He teaches art someplace. So his reward is a joke, you know. And I didn't have a really good joke for him because I had forgotten the one I wanted to tell him. But this is about this jazz musician who dies, you know, and he wakes up in this nightclub. And there's Dizzy Gillespie and Charlie Parker and John Coltrane. All these other like greats there, and he looks around and says, "Wow, I didn't know heaven was so full of jazz musicians." And Big Spiderbeck says, "Heaven?" Just as Karen Carpenter walks in with her drumsticks. Not everybody would get that one, but I guess I thought that was pretty good. There's another one about similar joke, but it's goes to, you know, he's goes to heaven or whatever. He's a jazz musician, and then all of a sudden, it's great. I get to play with this great band and everything like that. So, oh no, man, because God's going to be here. God's girlfriend's going to be here tonight. And she's going to want to sing. See, that's what makes it unpleasant. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, so I'm just wiped, man. I spent my whole day, my whole afternoon listening to violins and cellos and violas and a couple of string basses. And I'll say only a couple of them really could play. It's, I mean, it's just, and that's okay. I'm used to it. People say, geez, you know, when I give lessons, people say, you know, sorry I play so bad. So it's okay. You're developing. Now, generally, what I teach has frets on them, so they don't play out of tune. This is the only thing. You know, it's hard for me to. Violins are a very short scale length, and they're little wire strings. You drag a bow across them, which is hard to do well, and they don't tend to. If you're off by just a little bit, you won't play in tune. And you have to do these shifts and things. And I know these things. I mean, I have a background in these instruments, you know. I don't do them all the time, but I know about shifting without frets and stuff. And well, I play the fretless bass. I have a couple of a couple of fretless basses at home, and play those. I don't have too much trouble playing in tune usually, because I don't drink, you know, because I have a couple of fretted basses and a couple of fretless basses, but you see, if you don't have frets by the third set, you know, you're gonna need them. See, if you drink, but I don't. I drink coffee, so I'm extremely precise by the third set. But the one I heard about is fretless bass is you play that note and then you renegotiate. So one thing you just always come in a little flat and say, it's cool. And say, I meant to do that.
I read somewhere that the frets are worn off of Willie Nelson's guitar.
And maybe but he's got guitar techs trying to hold that thing together. He's had a lot of work done on it.
Yeah, I said it takes, I don't know how often, but he takes it to the luthier, a regular appointment.
Yeah. Well, I've heard about that. You know, that they have. I mean, I've actually, you know, read things. They interview the guy who fixes his guitar, and he show about things they've done with it. So he's worn a hole in the top of it, which I wouldn't do. But he's Willie, so he can do whatever he wants. You know, I wouldn't ever touch the top of the guitar with a pick. You know, but the braces in the inside that hold it together are. He's been wearing through those too, so they rebuild the base. They keep that hole there. They could patch it up, you know. They could make it look like it didn't happen, but he wants to keep it there. But it's an extra sound hole. But they have to replace the braces in there. So anyway. Tuscaloosa again this weekend, as I always am. Friday, Saturday night, make reservations at beautiful downtown Kelowna, the Tuscaloosa, easy to find, right downtown there. I'll be playing by 6:30. I'll play till the party's over. And see you next week on Tom's Guitar Show. Actually, you'll see me, I won't see you because it's TV, it's a one-way